Hi, you're listening to Childless and Moving Onward. This is the place where we talk about thriving in life when you're a woman who is childless, not by choice, regardless of the road that brought you to childlessness. Hi, and welcome to episode 72 of Childless and Moving Onward. I'm Gail Miller, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me today, because my mission is to recognize and speak to women who are childless by circumstance, not because you want to be. I'm here to remind you that you can live joyful, relevant, fulfilled lives, recognizing that while you would love to have the need for Legos all over your house, there is also a benefit to not ever stepping on one of the pieces when you're barefoot. Now, that may seem flippant and insensitive, but it's really about finding a way to acknowledge both the longing and the freedom, the sorrow and the small joys that are unique to your path. It's about honoring every conflicting feeling, knowing that you can miss what might have been and still choose to notice moments of peace, moments of humor or lightness that appear in your life the way it is instead of what you wish it to be. And yes, I also know that you would give up that freedom in a heartbeat, as would I. So we didn't ask for this freedom. And actually, for some, that word may feel like an uncomfortable fit. But that is what we have, a freedom or a space that we can use that we wouldn't otherwise have. It's not to say we want it, but it's something that we do have. So you can give yourself grace to grieve and also space to welcome meaning in new and unexpected forms. This doesn't negate your pain, but it does open you up to the possibility of living a life that is both deeply felt and beautifully, uniquely your own. Now, I started with this introduction that may feel off to you. Again, the freedom you have may not feel like a positive. But I guess I'm looking at that as a little bit of a taste of an intro of a controversial topic that I'm about to talk about. And that is that sometimes, as much as we hate this pain that we have, we also may not be willing to let go of it. Yes, I said it. And I know some of you may be very upset with that right now. Maybe you're even screaming at your phone or whatever you're listening to this on now. I know I've been there, completely disagreeing with what someone says on a podcast, and it may infuriate me. And if I'm not in a public place, I will scream at whoever is saying it. That's okay if you want to scream at me or you actually do so for saying what I said. But I have a reason for saying that. Reasons. And a point to all of this. So give me a chance and hear me out. I know you all hate the pain you're left with when your child is not by choice. I do too. And I know you want it gone. I mean, you wanted it gone yesterday. Me too. But what if, no matter how awful this feels, it's also become something that's so familiar? The emptiness, the unanswered questions, and the deep sense of loss can feel overwhelming and isolating, and that's still an understatement. But despite how horribly awful it feels, What if this pain has also become so familiar to us that it's become woven into the fabric of who we each are? That very same discomfort you and I so badly want to escape from, oddly can also actually feel like a known presence, something consistent in a world that is filled with uncertainty. So pain often holds a complicated role beyond just suffering. It's not simply a negative experience to be endured, to just get through or get past or eliminated. It actually serves functions that go beyond just being unpleasant or worse. So, for example, sometimes pain functions as a signal. It draws our attention to something important, whether it's a physical injury or deep emotional loss. When we have this heightened awareness, it can prompt us to take action. Whether it's making a physical change to get away from something causing a physical injury, or it's an internal change that leads to self-reflection and meaningful questioning about what matters most in our lives. In that way, pain can wake us up to deeper truths about ourselves and our experiences, and it can be a driving force for personal growth. So pain is sometimes it becomes a part of our emotional identity, especially when it's chronic or connected to profound loss, like we have with being childless not by choice. And we don't even usually recognize this. When it's so persistent, pain can shift from something that is negative into something that's simply familiar. Even when it's awful, as this is, sometimes familiar feels comfortable. It's a known to us. This familiarity of the persistent pain creates emotional patterns so that holding on to the pain feels safer or more genuine to ourselves than letting it go. Our minds can cling to the pain because change is unfamiliar. Even when we want something more positive, even when what we want to change from is a negative, that pain is familiar. So it can be even scarier and subconsciously more challenging than the pain we just know all too well. In some ways, it helps maintain a connection to the past, to the dreams we had, and that can feel like we're still connected to the child we dreamed of. The pain can be an affirmation that we otherwise don't get anywhere else. It's an affirmation that our dashed dreams and our struggles are real and valid. We rely on ourselves, on our thoughts and our feelings for that acknowledgement because we don't usually get it elsewhere. And pain also influences how we relate to others. It helps us to deepen empathy for others who suffer because we're so used to finding a lack of it. The familiarity of the pain that we so want to be rid of on a conscious level can actually create a contradiction within us. Letting go of the pain being all-consuming might feel like we're losing a piece of ourselves. The struggle isn't just about alleviating the pain and living with it, but it's navigating that inner conflict between wanting relief and needing to hold on to what feels emotionally authentic, what feels emotionally real, and is a known quantity, a known experience in our lives. Now, I've spoken before about one of my aha moments. It was a photo memory of me that popped up. And I didn't recognize myself in the photo because I looked so happy in it. And I didn't feel that way at the time that I was seeing the photo. And it took some time for me to figure it out, but I realized the photo was from a time before I knew I wouldn't become a mom. And that was my aha moment, that I realized I was putting all of my focus into what was missing from my life instead of honoring that, but at the same time, recognizing it, seeing what I did have and what I do have in my life. But frankly, that aha moment, while I recognized I needed to change my focus, it didn't change things for me overnight. I had to work at learning to live a life that is different than what I had dreamed of and find happiness in it, not just the pain. Part of that work was recognizing that I had become so used to feeling the pain that as much as I despised it, I was also terrified of losing it. For me, it was a connection to the dream of that child. And again, as horrible as the pain felt, I knew it was how I saw myself. And that's what I had to recognize, that I was holding on to the pain full force because underneath it all, I was familiar with it. And it had validated my experiences becoming childless, not by choice. Overcoming that isn't easy. The first step is to acknowledge that the pain has become familiar and ingrained. Recognize that underneath it all, you may be questioning, as I did to myself, who am I without this pain? And honestly, that questioning can feel unsettling because you have to face that reality that the pain has shaped much of your identity and your daily experience. But when you acknowledge that, now you can slowly begin to explore the idea that there's more to you than just your pain. You can slowly begin to open up to discovering new parts of yourself, parts that want to grow beyond the pain, while at the same time still honoring its significance. So create rituals or safe outlets for grief, like journaling, art, connecting with others who understand, hobbies like gardening, or whichever other hobbies you are passionate about. And that can provide comfort and structure that's often missing when you're experiencing this pain. It's like a perpetual feeling of, what do I do with myself now? But practices like these honor your feelings and give pain a meaningful, contained space. So it sets boundaries for yourself and your well-being. So there's a space for your grief, a space and time, instead of the pain overwhelming every aspect of life. Rituals like lighting a candle on special dates, participating in memorial activities, writing a letter to your younger self can encourage a sense of continuity and connection. Expressing emotions creatively isn't about getting over it, but it's about finding ways to carry that grief with self-compassion through self-care. It allows both healing and meaning to exist alongside each other. All right, so another step, though difficult, admittedly, is allowing yourself to talk about your pain without shame. Acknowledging that childless grief deserves recognition, not erasure. It's a powerful form of self-compassion. Now, one, I know that's difficult to do because there is such stigma attached to it. There shouldn't be, but there is. And the other is that I know that oftentimes others don't want to hear it. So share your truth with others who understand, who will offer support and validation. And that will help to break the silence that comes with being childless. But also, again, I realize oftentimes we don't have anybody around us who will truly understand. Nobody else is oftentimes going through this. Most people around us have children, and many just can't see that this pain is valid. And so be open still to talking about your pain, and accept the fact that you will likely not get back the support you need. But each time that you give voice to your feelings, you are making space for acceptance and healing. And you are helping to break through that stigma. So when you're making space for this healing, it's both for yourself and for others who are walking this same path or similar, because everybody's reason and path to being childless is different. Seek out communities, whether they're online or in person, where you can share your story so that you also remember you're not alone and you get validation for what you're going through. One option is I have a free online support group. That's the link will be in the show notes, but there are other options as well, and you don't have to limit yourself to one community. So I want to thank you for your willingness to hear me out on this, because nobody wants to hear, maybe we're purposely holding on to the pain. We don't want to let it go when it's something that we so want to be rid of. But thank you for allowing yourself to sit with the complexity of this painful experience. Navigating this pain isn't a linear journey, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. So know that you are not alone in holding on to your pain, and you are not failing because you are. You're not doing it wrong because you think you should be over it. Sometimes holding on is a reflection of how much you loved and hoped. But having a meaningful life doesn't mean you have to erase your grief. Instead, carry it with self-compassion and curiosity to make space for new joys, new connections, and insights, and opportunities for growth, for personal growth. Remember, it's possible to move forward without forcing yourself to move on. And I hope you can give yourself permission to embrace the whole of who you are. Pain, hope, longing, everything. It's okay to acknowledge that pain and familiarity of it exist. They exist together. But within that coexistence also lies the possibility of a nuanced, honest kind of healing. All right, that is it for today. I'll be back with you next week. I appreciate you listening. If you liked this episode, help get the word out to others who are looking for this same help by giving it a 5-star rating, and please take 2 minutes to leave a meaningful review. It's easy to do. Just scroll down to the ratings and review section and tap on the stars to rate the show and tap on write a review. I greatly appreciate it, and you'll be helping others out too. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.